Yes, there we go.
There we go. It was like we were like frozen, like we had a bunch of Botox. That was hysterical. Hey, welcome. If you're joining us live tonight, we really, really appreciate it. Hit your share button. We know that this is a subject that is not easily talked about, kind of hard to talk about, pardon the pun, but we're here tonight to discuss a couple of things, and I am super excited to be with you. I am Kim Evinda. I'm a leader of Trench Classes United, and for those of you wondering what the heck Trench Classes is, we are passionate, and I do mean passionate, about helping others look at where they're at transparently, from a higher perspective, without hiding behind anything or anyone, including God. And how do we do that? I'm going to have my awesome friend Shelly tell you how we do that.
So we do it through trench classes. So in other words, a trench class is just a time where you can take a step back and maybe, especially with this class, just look at your childhood. Look at things that might have been, created through your childhood, certain behaviors that you might have that you're not even aware of.
Yeah.
That are creating challenges in your relationships, not only with your spouse, but maybe friends, children, everything. And who wouldn't want to make those relationships better, right?
Right? Because, seriously, when you think about it, everything comes down to relationships. Thank you so much for joining us. Those of you who are joining us right now, share this live. It's going so we can get this message out. But I wanted to ask just for a minute before we go into what we're talking about. So the class, Shelly is a great, great friend. She's been with me since the beginning of my writing journey, which began about 9 years ago. And she's gone through our classes, and I'm super excited to say that her and her husband are actually going to be joining us to help teach this next class coming up starting a week from tomorrow. And that's to learn how to love who you love. So tell us for just a second, just go ahead and take a minute and tell them how this helped you and Darren with your dance. Was it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we had a great relationship, but we would get into dumb fights, and we would just do this little dance, and it was not a fun dance.
Not the cha-cha?
No, it was like a backwards two-step or something like that. It was not fun, right? And it was frustrating because it was a dumb fight, but yet we couldn't figure out why we were doing what we were doing. And the awesome thing about this class is it really got us to look at our behaviors, meaning me working on me, him working on him.
Yeah.
And really recognizing the miscommunications that we were having.
Yeah.
And it's, we still do the dance occasionally, right?
Yeah, but it's not, I think it's more rhythmic now.
Yeah,
a little bit more
because
rhythmic.
We understand each other better, and we're able to communicate better. And it's just been an awesome class, and it's been really good for us, understanding our children's behaviors.
Yes, because they have a blended family. So, and that's really, those of you out there that have his, hers, ours, that it's really important. We go over a lot of connecting things, a lot of things about connection, I should say. Attachment theory is what they call it, but a really powerful class. So the last time that Shelly and I were with you guys a couple weeks ago, we had some great conversation about The Bachelor and the fallacy of happily ever after that we tend to, I think, buy into, unfortunately, and which actually led into the conversation of connection and emotional foreplay. And before we go into more about connecting and emotional foreplay, I want to talk a few minutes about The Bachelor this season, because frankly, I gotta say that I am really disappointed in Ari. Adorable guy, but I do not understand what a boxing match has to do with finding quality in a person or the character of a person or eating bugs. He had them eating bugs last time. And his very first date was, took her to a designer and got her all these designer dresses and a Louis Vuitton shoes. And maybe I'm not saying the right designer because I'm not a designer hoe or whatever. But anyways, it was just more of this, like, really, do you feel like you have to buy her the first date? And you pointed out that though,
so I think the important thing to recognize, though, is that The Bachelor is all about these over-sensationalized dream dates, right? So they're selling this dream, right? They're selling the fantasy. They're not selling reality. So that's why at the end of the rose ceremony, after it's all said and done, and they go back to reality, life's not all about dream dates.
Yeah.
Life's not all about let me take you shopping and buy you everything you want at Tiffany's.
I wonder what kind of a reality show we could do that really showed like when the relationships work. You know what I'm saying? It's like, Rachel, the Bachelorette from before, the last season, actually was interviewed, and she said, when the camera stopped rolling and the proposal was over, it was awkward. She said it got really,
know what to do.
No, it got really awkward. Like, oh my gosh, do we go in the same car together? Do we hold hands? Are we allowed?
And I think they've been kept apart at that point for how many weeks?
Right.
So that adds to the awkwardness because they haven't been able to see each other. They haven't been able to go out in public together. So it's just awkward. It's not real. That's why I said they're not pushing reality. This is fantasy land.
Show business. So, okay, so what we're going to get back to is and I really want to emphasize this tonight. I've been trying to explore, why is sex such a hard thing to talk about? Again, I'll say, pardon the pun. And I believe that there is this cultural shame. And when I say culture, I mean many cultures, okay? I believe that shame when it comes to sex spills over even into the church, if not more so. Wouldn't you agree?
Absolutely.
And you've had that experience.
Oh my gosh. I've had several conversations with people where they did the right things, waited until they were married, and then nothing really happened. Mm-hmm. And they would say, oh my gosh, like I was so excited, to finally be married and have sex with my husband or wife.
Right.
And I had a conversation with one girlfriend, and it was actually the guy that was not performing as frequently as she wanted.
I know a couple people that have that complaint of their guys. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And so we think, you always hear the joke is that the woman doesn't want to have sex.
Yeah, but it's
not. Yeah. So this guy didn't want to have sex, or just, it wasn't as frequent as the wife would have liked it. Mm-hmm. And she really felt that it was because his mother had shamed him into thinking that sex was bad somehow. And there's a lot of people in the church, I think, that have this negative thing about sex, and they don't recognize what God really intended it to be. I mean, if you look at the Bible and you look at the Song of Solomon,
I really need to read that.
It's pretty spicy. I mean, it's pretty sexy. It's very passionate.
Very passionate.
And there's a lot of love there too.
Yes.
And I think God gave us that book to show us the kind of intimacy that he wants us to have in our marriages.
Yes.
He wants us to enjoy having sex. I mean, sex isn't a bad thing within the marriage, right? So I don't know that a lot of Christians believe that. And maybe even non-Christians, depending on their backgrounds and their upbringings and stuff. So I'm certainly not just bashing the Christian community, but I'm just saying that the people that I've talked to, it's definitely been a problem.
And I think, the more I learn, the less I know. But, I say that there is a cultural shame, and I'm doing a lot of research, especially doing these classes and whatnot. And it breaks my heart because the last time we were on Facebook Live a couple weeks ago, literally had somebody on there that was blasting me. How dare you talk about sex? You're supposed to be a Christian.
What?
Yes. And I'm like, oh my gosh, this proves my point. Like, are you freaking kidding me? So there's this shame that sex is bad. And let me suggest that possibly, hi, sweetheart. Well, thanks for joining us, you guys. As you come on in, please press your share button. But I want to say that I think that there's many reasons that people have a hard time connecting. And I think that the whole shame game, it's just horrible. I think it's the enemy's, one of his strongest tools, but I think there's many reasons for shame. And I think that if you were touched inappropriately and your first experience of sex was inappropriate, you are going to have a hard time with sex, and you are going to have to work through some stuff.
Oh, absolutely.
I think if parents shamed you and never made it safe to talk about sex, you're going to have a hard time understanding, connecting. So, which is the whole reason why we're doing what we're doing and talking tonight and sharing what we're sharing. And to be honest with you, I mean, I'm working through some heavy stuff myself and excited about victories that I know are coming my way. And I really am passionate for people to understand God really did intend for us to enjoy it.
Absolutely.
It's a gift. It's such a gift, but we don't treat it that way. And so today we want to talk for a little bit about the whole concept of emotional foreplay. We came up with that last time, and I kind of liked it, so I want to stick with it for a minute. So, Shelley, you had shared last time a really good point And whether you have a good, marriage or whatever, good sex just makes it better. But I believe that things outside of the bedroom need to be healthy in order for inside the bedroom to be healthy. It's just, is that a fallacy of mine? Or?
Well, if you're not connecting with your spouse, are you really going to be turned on and want to have sex with them?
Right.
I mean, I think that for women, at least, it goes beyond that, right?
Yes, I think Sex 101, this is just basic Sex 101. Yeah. Women need to be connected with, and we're going to talk about that, of a form of emotional connection. But I don't know, I truly believe that connection is part of it. And I really believe that, sure, there's times where you just want to have sex, I mean, we have that. That's our flesh.
Right.
But very seldom. And I really, truly, very seldom, especially as you get older, because the old Mary, what she used to be. You can't just put the key in there and expect her to turn on. I keep telling George that. He hasn't gotten that message yet. But anyways, I think that I've discovered something really powerful over this last week that proves the point. You had talked a couple weeks ago about the importance of staying connected throughout the day. Sending messages. Right. How is it that you greet each other when you come in? Or say goodbye to each other in the morning, just really staying connected throughout the day. And so I wanted to take the time to share with everybody, be very transparent. And because I'll be honest, I am one that struggles a little bit, but I'm becoming more and more free to be who I'm created to be and to understand men a lot better as well. But I had a day last Saturday where I was really feeling the 3 levels of connection. And I say that there are 3 levels of connection. And I really know that now in my heart because I'm really paying attention to this. But I had a really interesting conversation with somebody about the 3 levels of connection. And then it got proven in a day that I had. So the 3 levels of connection, first of all, if you can just imagine, hi, Megan, thank you for joining us. If you could just imagine a 3-pronged plug, and I wish I could show it to you. Well, maybe I can. Here, no, I better not. I don't want to unplug this. So if you can imagine a 3-pronged plug, okay? So if you were to try to plug that plug in with only one of the prongs, would there be a connection? Mm-hmm. There wouldn't be a complete connection, right? Well, that's how women I think are wired. We need to be connected with, and God desired for all of us to actually, men and women, to connect on 3 levels. And I believe that's emotionally, spiritually, and then physically. And I believe if any one of those, any one of the first 2 are missing, it makes it difficult for us who have issues with connecting sexually to connect sexually. But I know for a fact now, because there was a little experiment that I unknowingly did in my own life. It just happened, and I believe it was totally God. And that was, I'm going to share my day where Saturday, we woke up and I usually have my coffee hour with God and he had gotten up at the same time. So I invited him to join me for, coffee and time with God. And we had an amazing time. We talked about this one book that we're reading called The Shepherd, and it's all about the 23rd Psalm. And so we were discussing that and we were not agreeing on some things. And yet we were disagreeing in a very okay way. And
a fun, healthy debate.
It was so good. Like, I think it's probably the first time in 14 years that we
really.
Yes. So, I'm really allowing him to have his opinions, and I'm giving him mine. And it's good. And I'm feeling really invigorated. Just this is so good. I'm feeling stimulated spiritually, and I'm feeling stimulated emotionally. And then the day continues, and so we had agreed on Friday that he would vacuum and dust, and I would do all the other cleaning. So he vacuumed, I did all the cleaning. So he was doing cleaning and I was doing cleaning, and that was cool. And then we came together and we worked on his corporate tax stuff, and I was helping him with all his records. So we were doing some side-by-side, shoulder-to-shoulder time, not his favorite thing to do at all. Like, he was really grumpy at first. And I said, if there's another way that you think we can do this, I'm just wanting to help you. So then he got into it, changed his attitude. It was great.
But it's teamwork, right?
It was teamwork. And so we were connecting. So I have to tell you, honestly, I'm going to put myself out there. Hi, sweetheart. Thanks for joining us, Carrie. I was like, man, we should lay down and have some really intimate time right now before we go to dinner. I was feeling stimulated, in all areas.
You were there.
I was there. And so for those of you who bashed me last time, okay, yeah, I'm talking about if I'm married and it's okay, and we need to learn to do this. So, Yeah. So it was like, you know what? When I'm feeling connected to emotionally and spiritually, or spiritually, however, I'm good. And I just wanted to know, you know, maybe it's different for you, but like, how is it that you feel connected to? And when you feel connected to Darren, is it easier to participate sexually?
Well, I mean, I think it is for anybody. I mean, if he and I are doing our dance and we're not getting along, I'm not thinking about jumping into bed, right? I mean, so yeah, I mean, you're not always going to be in that perfect mood to want to have sex. But I think the important thing to recognize is that sex is intimacy.
Yes.
But that's not the only way to be intimate with our spouses. And I think it does definitely make a difference. I mean, Darren and I have kind of a more unusual marriage in that we both work from home.
Yes.
And we spend a lot of time together. And
which is unique in that you can do that.
Yeah. And we actually, and we're in the same line of work.
And we like each other.
And we like each other. We don't kill each other working at home. And it is very unique. And but yet you'd think we might get tired of each other. But yet one of our favorite things to do is just be impulsive and just take off and go do stuff together. And we don't need anybody else tagging along. We enjoy, not saying that we don't love our friends, don't get me wrong, but we enjoy our time together. And I think it's those moments where we're together and we're just doing things and we're sharing and talking about, you know, anything and everything. I mean, we talk about our sex life. If there's something that's bothering us, we talk about it. And I think that the more that we communicate with each other, the more we're connected, so that we don't have to try so hard. It just kind of naturally happens.
Yeah.
But I think with a lot of people, they don't want to talk about sex. And if their partner is doing something that they don't like, they just kind of hold it in.
Right.
And it's just like anything else. You hold something in long enough, and then all of a sudden you've got a volcano exploding.
It totally explodes.
And you've been really, and in all of that time, you start building up resentment and all kinds of issues. So, I mean, I really think that communicating is part of that connection. And I think that the awesome thing about this class is that for a lot of people that don't know how to do it, or they don't know why they can't communicate. I mean, there's certain people that just have a really difficult time dealing with emotions.
Yes.
And they get anxiety. They don't want to talk about it, and they've never quite understood it. I'm telling you, this class will help you understand why you can't communicate that way.
Yeah.
And what those behaviors are that were created from your childhood that are just really hurting your ability to communicate with your spouse. And once you're connected, and once you're in that mode and you're communicating, I mean, there's always going to be times where you're tired. You had a long day and you're working out
or you have
in the
a
yard,
headache, or the kids are making you mad, or
I mean, so you know, you're not going to be ready to go 24/7, but I still think that it's those connections throughout the day that are really going to make the difference. And it's, again, it's that intimacy.
Yeah, and intimacy, and men look at intimacy different than women, but I think connecting emotionally and spiritually is a form of intimacy. Like I said, I really am working through some stuff, you know, and Carl's been really helping me understand stuff. You've been helping me understand stuff. And so we want to invite you to make comments. I have to read this one. This is a powerful comment here right now. She says, intimacy has been lost lately with sex being so public. It is a private thing between a husband and wife and should be kept private. To talk generically about sex is okay, but private details should stay private. So when we're talking about private details, like what I'm talking about is not private detail. I'm talking about sex in general and connecting with your spouse, okay? We are not talking about, you know, the different positions or anything like that.
And I think if you're having difficulty in your sex life and there's one partner that is maybe dissatisfied with, let's say, the frequency that you're having sex, and they're talking about that publicly, that's another form of shame.
Yes, it is.
So they're shaming you. So we talked earlier about shame.
Yes.
And that's not right.
Right.
So there are many, many reasons that people are shamed when it comes to sex.
Well, and I think this is a good comment, but the problem is people don't normally talk about it between themselves. Do you know what I'm saying?
Well, and that's what I was just going to say. If they're being shamed in public, that's wrong. But they still need to be talking one-on-one about it.
About the issues.
Because if you don't ever communicate to your spouse what they're doing wrong, or maybe not even what they're doing wrong, that sounds negative, what they could be doing better, you know, how are they ever going to
get it right?
Yeah. I mean, you know, bottom line, I don't believe that we should ever have this attitude that sex is a chore. Yeah. That sex is something we have to do. And it shouldn't. It should be pleasurable. It should be fun. And I think that if you don't have that and you have this attitude that sex is a chore, I think in the long run, it's going to create challenges in your marriage, in your intimacy. And I think that it's like I said the very first time I spoke, why has it become culturally acceptable for women to not want to have sex with their husbands?
Yeah, and then we wonder why there's so much porn and so much adultery. I mean,
so they don't want to have sex with their husband, but then they want to complain. Right. And I'm not saying that that's right, but I'm just saying.
No, two wrongs never make a right, but it's always nice to look at causation. Yeah. I'm really big at looking at causation. I'm really big at trying to connect the dots. And I have to share this one statistic with you, and we won't leave it on a bummer, but I have to share the statistic. I don't think I did. I mean, I did with you when we were talking earlier, but you know, in that deposition that I did the other day, they were in the middle of trial and they called this expert. And in jury voir dire, when they're questioning, 80% of the people were molested as kids. So I know firsthand that creates a barrier with intimacy. For intimacy for the way that God created us to be intimate, that interferes with it. And he did say, the psychologist said, anyone, and so I want to encourage anybody out there that's ever been touched inappropriately and their first experience with sex was horrible and inappropriate. I want to share with you that, you know, you're not alone. It's staggering the number of people that this has happened to, but we don't talk about it because it's so shameful. But here's the deal. The fact is, it's a reality. It has happened, and it's not something that you will just get over. And if you really want to learn how to connect and be free from the effects of those types of inappropriate behaviors, this is also a good class for you. Yeah. This is for the person who's not in crisis in their marriage, right? Because you definitely were not in crises. This is for the parent that wants to learn how to understand their child better, for crying out loud, and learn how to be a better parent. This is for the marriage in crises. I mean, every level of relational experiences, I think the gamut, this class covers the gamut.
Well, and let me say that I think one of the challenges with couples, I mean, you could talk to Steve and ask him, what's the statistic of people that he counsels that actually make it? Yeah, it's a huge, I don't know the percentage, I don't know the statistics, but I know that most people that wait to communicate wait too long, and either one of them or both of them are just dead inside and it's over.
Exactly.
So no matter what stage of your relationship that you're in, you have to have intimacy in your relationship, whether you want to acknowledge it or not. You need to have it, and you should want to have it. And if you're struggling with trying to figure out how to fix it, how to communicate better, you know, maybe you're thinking, wow, you know, I really don't enjoy sex. You know, come to the class and get the tools that you need to start communicating with your spouse, because I'm telling you, if you start communicating, you know, it can only get better.
So I just put a message up there. I've given you the link for Trench Classes United. It says 404 not found. I guess I did the wrong one, so sorry. Just go to trenchclassesunited.com and hit the classes thing. But I want to close with this, you guys. I'm speaking to each and every one of you. We truly are passionate about relationships. We are passionate about getting them right. And I am super, super passionate about helping others really succeed in their relationships, because the relationship is the most important God-given gift that we've been given. And yet sometimes doesn't it feel like a curse? And we need to get this right. We really need to get this right. And so I just want to share, you guys, we are 1 week away. Tomorrow, it makes a week away from jumping in the trenches. and just being in a great place to work with you side by side and help you understand what true connection is all about. I believe that for each and every one of you, that this class will either change, repair, or enhance your existing relationships. And I want to emphasize, it's not just for couples, single people out there. Oh my Lanta, I speak with so much passion for you. I went through a 12-year SOS, season of singleness, and oh my goodness, did I learn so much. And you know what? If you want to be even more prepared for that one that God has for you, you want to join us for this class, because you will have such an amazing understanding as God prepares you for the one that he has for you. So we can believe that you can be part of something that will revolutionize, just totally change where you're at in your life. The most important part of your life with relationships. Did you want to add anything before we?
I just wanted to just reemphasize again how much I enjoyed going through this class and how it was all really easy stuff, easy reading, and super interesting. I mean, for me, it's just so eye-opening to recognize these things.
It's powerfully true.
And I had a really good childhood, yep. And yet I still recognize that things were there,
yeah,
based on the way that I was raised that were impacting my relationships.
Yeah.
And I think, like, going back to what you said about the single people.
Yep.
I mean, why set yourself up for failure or for a long road ahead if and dating loser after loser. Yeah, right. I mean, I know so many girls that are out there dating the wrong guys because they don't feel good about themselves.
Yep.
And if they could only feel better about themselves and kind of figure out these behaviors, how much stronger would they be to feel good about themselves and stop dating all the losers and find a good, healthy relationship.
Absolutely. And I just have this God-given passion, and I know it's from him. I have this passion to help people understand that your past has everything to do with your present. And if you don't take time to take a look at it, it will affect your future in a not so positive way. And we want to help influence your future to a brighter future. We know that signing up for this class will do that for you. Thanks for joining us tonight. Right or wrong, we love how we were loved. Yes, absolutely. How you were loved affects how you love. Thank you, Milan and Kay Yurkovich, for teaching me that. And that's what this class is based on. So we can't wait to see you a week from Thursday. Again, go to trenchclassesunited.com, look up the classes, register today, get your spot because they are filling up. God bless. Make it a great night. Take care.
Bye-bye.